Welcome to the Colleges Wales Teach Pod podcast series. Supported by Welsh Government, these 10-minute sessions offer further education lecturers and work-based learning practitioners practical learning and teaching tips. With contributions from colleges from across Wales, the series offers professional learning opportunities for staff in the FE sector to hear about examples of best practice. There are 4 key themes: resilience, digital, differentiation and A-level pedagogy. For further information, please visit colleges.wales.
I'm Catrin Williams, Staff Mentor at Grŵp Llandylla Menai, and today we're going to be discussing LOOM as a teaching and learning tool. With me today are...
My name is Catherine Farmer and I work in health and social care.
And my name is Hayley Lloyd and I work in the childcare department.
What is the resource and its purpose?
So Loom's an online tool where you can pre-record lessons, so you can have your PowerPoint, your resources, whatever you want to use, and record using just the screen and your voice, or the screen, your voice, and the video of you as well in the corner of the screen. So you're delivering a lesson as if you would live, but pre-recording it. So it allows you to record the lesson in advance. You can tell students to start and stop, to do activities or to click on links or watch videos. You can talk through this around what you've put on the slides, and then it goes live onto a website and you can give them the link and they can go and watch it in their own time. So it allows them to come back and watch it again. It allows them to, if a tutor can't for any reason do a live session at a set time, it allows them to pre-record it, and then the students can come back and watch it at that time or at a different time, however you want to set it. And then you can have work attached to it that they can then submit, so that you can still go over and check understanding at the end.
But yes, learners can go back as and when they choose or are ready to, can revisit notes or take notes with regards to activities that have been embedded throughout the Loom and the recording. And I suppose the benefit is that learners can pause and then restart as and when they wish to throughout the session.
Yeah, I do have a couple of students that, sometimes the pace, if you sort of do the pace to the main group, sometimes you get that odd student that could just do with a slower pace, and the Loom suits them because they can start and stop it. They can take the time over a slide. They can spend as long as they want on an activity rather than having to kind of keep to a set time frame that suits the majority of the group. They can go to their own time frame. And particularly at the moment, if they've got siblings at home doing online learning and other things going on, sometimes it suits them better to do the lesson later on in the day when it's a bit quieter, and that suits them as well. That it doesn't, if I set a Loom for an afternoon, I don't mind if they come back and do it at 5 o'clock if that works better for them, and submit the work later, if that's going to work around their personal circumstances. I'd rather they were able to focus and do that work when it's convenient to them rather than at a set time, so it can be flexible for that as well.
But would you just go through a PowerPoint slideshow on your own screen, or would you show them YouTube videos and embedded skills?
The videos, go through the PowerPoint with them, but play the video in real time, so the video is actually on the recording, but keep a link there as well, so they can click on the link and come back to it, but they're actually watching it. So I know that they're watching it, because if you just put the link within the recording, they can just skip ahead and not watch it. Whereas if it's a part of the recording, they have to kind of watch it. Well, they could skip ahead, but there's more likely they're going to watch the whole video clip, and then I can kind of stop it and pause the video as we're going through and talk about it, and put link it to activities or things that we're doing, rather than them just watching it in silence. You can kind of start and stop it.
Yeah, and I think it's also helpful in providing an overview of the session, and as you're delivering tutor, you're able then to give clear instructions for the learners to follow the tasks that are embedded. I suppose this allows the learner then to revisit those instructions if they do find a task difficult to complete, and then play those instructions again. And as Kate says, it's at the leisure of the learner, and if they want to revisit it at any point, especially when coming up to revision for case studies, those pre-recorded sessions are there and can help those learners collate information, knowledge and understanding that's convenient for them.
From your perspective as well, do you think now you've created that resource, it's one less resource for you to create in future, so you can upload it to your Google Classroom and use it and utilize it in the future as well?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And it also helps to demonstrate practical skills, especially in the vocational setting. that you can then use, whether you're in class sessions or online sessions, for learner then to view embedded videos or assessments that they've completed, and we've recorded an overview. We could then ask a Welsh speaking assessor or tutor to come in with that pre-recording possibly and add an overview of both languages in the content that it's being delivered. We could also use in-house facilities within the group to support that, and possibly have LOOMs made bilingually.
Have you had feedback directly from the learners about how useful or how effective they think it is with their own learning?
I've had students say that it's really helpful, sort of fitting around their lives and things in lockdown, that it's not always easy for all of them to be able to be online at a set time, same as it's not always for us when we've got childcare, things that are going on. But it's for them, it can sometimes be really good to come back and do it at their own time. And it's also, when you think about as an alternative to setting work. So if you can't be doing a live lesson, it's so much better than just setting a piece of work for them, because they get to hear you get to hear you talking through that activity and showing them clips and asking questions, and you can within that you can still set up group work. So I still use it to put them into groups and say, right, here's a Google Meet link, arrange a time, get onto this Meet link and do this piece of work and then submit it. So you can still do things like that much easier than just setting a piece of work. It's so much more engaging for them.
True. And I think it's the fact that with family commitment at home as well, if a learner is halfway through part of our formative assessment, they can pause and it will remain as it is. They can do what they need to do and not feel that guilt of trying to juggle work and a family routines, and then come back and then finish that task in their own element and leisure. So I think it's very much engaging for the learner, because when learners feel that there is a session happening and they're feeling torn between engaging in that session and family commitments, it does somehow release that pressure for them a little bit to actually work on their assignments in when it's more peaceful in the home environment and they have the time to apply their work.
That's a valid point, isn't it? What about you as practitioners? Do you feel because you're recording it up front, you're analysing your own presentation in a way?
Yeah, I think it's a lot less distracting. Sometimes when you're staring at a screen of students that don't want to talk to you and having the cameras off, and it's sometimes quite distracting and you kind of lose your train of thought and you're jumping backwards and forwards between tabs trying to show them different things. Whereas when you're pre-recording it, I think we're a bit more relaxed and we can kind of take it at our own pace and sort of think about what we're doing. But also sometimes I'll pre-record a Loom and then I'll think, okay, I don't really like that slide, or I don't like the way I've put that information. And when I've recorded the Loom, I've been able to talk across it exactly how I want it, but I might then go back and edit the actual PowerPoint and put that onto Classroom with the extra information on, or adapt it for next time. So you're kind of having that. It's like when you teach the same lesson to two classes, isn't it? You sort of often adapt it before the next class and think about what you do better. You can kind of do that before they've even seen it and then give them that extra bit of information. I've not played with the editing function. I'm not very good at doing things like that. But no, I tend to just go for it. And
I think reassurance, as a staff member preparing that you can, if you need to, if you feel like you need to go back over and as you say, add something or delete it or just tweak it a little. Yeah, it does allow, the editing button does allow you to do that. I think, it's accessible on their mobile phones, Chromebooks, videos with regards to whether or not they're buffing at all. We haven't had any complaints about that as yet. And with Loom as well, you can stop it. So if it does need that time to catch up, it can. As long as there's a good internet connection, and with modern technology today, the students find that their phones do that exceptionally well, so they're able to watch that as a video quite clearly. And it is easily accessible through a shared link. So, Loom can be put on Google Classroom and learners can, they've got access to it or download it to their phones to view as they wish.
Sort of taking the pressure out. It's not like when you're doing a live session and somebody's having connection issues that they are going to miss you know, they're going to miss things in the lesson. Whereas, you know, with Loom, if they've got issues, you know, you can just come back to it later and try again. And, you know, by the end of the day, they've all managed to get on and do the activity. So
does the resource benefit all learners?
it's never going to be as good as a live session in that you can't monitor them in real time. You can't monitor, you know, how they're finding each activity. Are they keeping on top of things? I think putting them in sort of peer support group work is a great way of making sure that they've got some sort of support as they're doing that Loom in real time, because you can, you know, get them to arrange a time to do that, and you can get them obviously to submit work at the end so that you can kind of see, you know, check their understanding. But it's never going to be as good as live, where you can question them on the spot and you can, you know, get them to do, you know, little quizzes as you're going along and check the learning as you're doing it. But it is the next best thing, isn't it? It's better than setting work. It's better than just giving them a piece of homework. It's, you know, better than just making them do a bit of, you know, work on their own. It's that sort of in between, isn't it? And you can differentiate on that, and you can certainly differentiate the tasks that they're doing, and you know, there is ways of doing it.
Yeah, and I suppose there's also, you know, the real time questioning cannot take place. However, learners can, you know, produce their work. Emails then can be sent where we can then, you know, tailor one-to-one questions with the learners in particular to extend their knowledge and understanding. But yeah, as a whole, you know, the group work together via peer assessment with the, you know, the differentiated tasks that are supporting the Loom recording.
What top tips can you offer new staff using the resource?
In regards to setting yourself up as the educator. Otherwise, you know, it can then reduce the length of time of the Loom recording to 5 minutes. And there isn't really much you can do in 5 minutes. And also to say that that you can start and stop the recording to embed the activities along the way, and also that the edit facility is there if you do need to go back and embed a task that you are going to want to use within the session. And tasks will then have something to submit to show understanding at the end of the Loom as well. We had staff development at the beginning where a member of staff had trialled it in the first lockdown experience, and it worked really well. So we then had a recording of how to do a Loom in that session, and also then watching staff's presentations through Loom. That has then helped. And it's trial and errors with anything, you know, you could give it a go, see how it's working until you're confident with it. And where you want to find out more, there are resources available to help you with that, short YouTube clips.
Top tips is just have a practice at pre-recording, because it's just really strange, isn't it, recording your own voice on things. Nobody likes to hear their own voice, but you're really sort of nervous the first time you do it. But you know, once you've recorded one, you just get in the swing of it. Set something for them to submit at the end. So something so that I can check their understanding, so I can go back and cover things that they're not getting, to inform your next session, and to know who needs the extra support, and you know, that they've all engaged with it really.
What impact has it had on your learners and their participation? Would you say they're more engaged, less engaged? Do they enjoy it as a tool for teaching and learning?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as Kate said, you know, it's that assessment at the end that is when you can formally assess whether the learner has actually watched the Loom and completed the task and understood it well, which will then form the session that you're delivering next. So the benefit of Loom is the learners, if they haven't understood in that session in particular, can revisit as and when they need to.
Yeah, I think certainly when you compare it to just setting a piece of work, I think the participation is much higher. You know, if they just set a piece of homework, you know, there'll always be some that will just ignore it and, you know, not bother, or they'll just skip straight to the task and not read anything of the information beforehand. Whereas the Loom makes them actually go through the information, you know, listen to the instructions carefully, you know, they can go back and check it, and then they are more likely to do that piece of work, and you get a better understanding of where their knowledge is and, you know, what their needs are going to be. So I do think, yeah, it's never going to be as good as an online, you know, a good online session, but it's certainly better for participation than just setting work.
Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Hayley and Kate.
With contributions from FE professionals from across Wales, the Colleges Wales Teach Pod podcast series offers a series of short teaching and learning tips, which you can put into practice straight away. The range of podcasts is broad, with sessions covering the themes of resilience, digital, differentiation, and A-level pedagogy. Find out more today.